Our next guest is Heide Abelli, who has a new book out called You Got This, the Ultimate Career Guide for the Modern Professional. In the book, Heide addresses the challenges today's workforce is facing. Heide, welcome to Daily Flash.
Thank you.
So
Happy to be here.
the workplace has changed drastically in the last 5 to 10 years. What are some of today's most common workforce challenges?
Yes, there's a lot of pressure on employees today. Most of this is due to the increase in the pace of change at work. People need to be adaptive and resilient through all of that change. Expectations regarding productivity have increased. We have an always on work culture. People are tethered to their smartphones. That can cause a blurring of the lines between people's personal and professional lives, so they can struggle with work-life balance, boundaries, managing burnout and stress. Almost half of employees work remotely or in a hybrid context. And there are upsides to that, but also downsides: social isolation, feeling invisible, feeling disconnected. It can be harder to advocate for yourself or get on the radar for a promotion. And then, of course, there are the time eternal challenges of dealing with coworker dynamics, interacting with supervisors, handling on-the-job conflict, and these can be really tough challenges. Maybe you are in a conflict with a coworker, or you're feeling marginalized, or your boss is abrasive, and there's less informal available to help people deal with those kinds of challenges. So they need help, not just to survive at work, but to thrive.
You say Gen Zers just entering the workforce are struggling the most.
Yes, Gen Zers struggle with engagement and motivation. Over half of Gen Zers, research shows, more than any other generation, are either ambivalent or disengaged at work. And that's a problem, because we need to be engaged and motivated to do our best work. There can be communication challenges. A lot of what we do at work involves communication, and Gen Z grew up communicating via text and emojis to some extent, so they can struggle with some of the complexities of face-to-face communication, and social interaction at work just comes a little bit less naturally to them. Gen Zers who work remotely may not be getting the mentorship they need. It can be harder for them to network and be seen when they're remote. So, and mentorship and networking are very important, especially early on in a career. And then remember too, that this generation was raised in an era of instant gratification.
Yes.
Think of all the social media likes and comments. And some Gen Zers can struggle with the realities of entry-level positions, the routine nature of tasks, slower progression, lack of constant feedback. So those are some of the challenges that Gen Z struggles with.
Yeah, I think there is like time management, there's boundaries, there's structure. All of that comes with learning to adapt in a work environment. And there's also a sense of entitlement. If you're just starting out in the workforce, for this particular generation, they don't understand why they're not making the same amount of money as somebody who's worked there for 20 years, let's say. And constant urgency is also a big problem. What do you mean by this, and how can we deal with it?
Yeah, this is something that I hear a lot from people. They'll tell me, gosh, everything at work is a drill, and every email I receive from my boss, need ASAP in the email subject line. Not all tasks can and should be urgent. So there's a lot of false urgency in the workplace today. You can't always be expected to strap on that superhero cape and save the day. So what I suggest is press the pause button. Ask to meet with your boss. You need to shine a light on this ugly underbelly of constant urgency. What is that? Burnout, decreased work quality, not focusing enough on the really critical work. So you need to highlight the negative business consequences of constant urgency. And you need to verify the true urgencies of tasks. So how do you do that? You help your boss find a structure for better prioritization so that you can get that true urgency. Ask probing questions. For example, what happens if this isn't done by tomorrow? What is the actual business damage that will occur? Or what business downside if we rush this task? Not every important task is urgent. So it's critical, and we tend to conflate the two. So it's critical really to get to the true urgency of tasks. The goal is to avoid a power struggle with your boss, but also to commit energy to truly urgent tasks.
Heide, great information. To get a copy of Heide's book, You Got This, please visit heide.abelli.me, or you can find the book at all major online book retailers.